Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Abundance Tree podcast. I'm your host, Janice, and I'm here with my lovely co-host,
April Capri. Hey,
April Capri.
Janice.
Hey, girl, how are
Hey, girl.
you?
Hi.
Hey, girl, hey.
Hey, girl. Nah.
Hey, girl, hey. I don't even know how they do it. Hey, girl, hey. I don't know.
However you want to do it. I
Well,
ain't trying to
yeah,
like nobody.
right. You're right. So how's it going? How's it going?
It's going great. It's going great. We had about a week off, so it's good to be back in action. We have a returning guest that everybody knows and loves. Maybe not
Right.
everybody, so if you don't know him, you will get to know him shortly.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Faced with life's challenges, he made a resolute decision to reclaim his peace, his faith, and his sanity.
Literally, life is all about mindset. Everybody has a story. Everybody is an author, whether they believe it or not, because they're writing this movie about their lives. You're able to create and frame your existence and your story intentionally. So there's blessings in every single thing.
So we're over 60 episodes. We're on 61, episode 61, and it's pretty neat because I was contemplating what episode our returning guest uh came on out on, and that is Dr. Mo Red, and he came out on episode 16. So you flip it, it's what we're on episode
61.
61. Yeah, so I
Must
thought
have
that
been meant
was
to be.
exactly like full circle there. So
Really is.
yeah. So do you have anything to say about Dr. Bo before we bring him
I
on?
do. I'm going to give folks a little small reminder. He is a self-proclaimed serial motivator with a mission to help people not just survive, but to thrive. He has a background in education, coaching, and writing. He blends creativity, communication, and critical thinking to inspire others to grow and take action. He is a five-time author and is currently gearing up for his upcoming TEDx presentation.
That's
We
cool.
have Dr.
Dr.
Moritz.
Bo Red's back in the building. And his episode actually came out on Christmas Day last year,
Yes, yes, he
episode
was a
16.
guest.
So
Episode
yeah,
16. So I wonder if he did the TEDx or not. We're gonna have to ask him and find
that's
out.
right. Dr.
Yeah.
Bo, there you are.
Hey,
Hey, Dr. Bo. Hey. Yeah.
hey, what's up, ladies?
Hey,
Man, great
Dr.
to
Bo.
see you. Hey, happy to be here as always.
It's been a minute.
It
It has.
has. It
Hope all
has.
has been well. I know you guys are jamming on the podcast. I love it, seeing all the different guests that you have on here. I mean, it's truly an abundant tree. I mean, like everybody who gets on there drops many gems, and I just love it. So,
Oh,
congratulations to you
Thank you.
all. I give you your flowers.
You
thank
are too kind,
you.
sir. You've been quite the busy bee yourself, sir.
I have
Absolutely.
been. Sometimes you got to slow down. One of my favorite movies is Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and um, not just the movie, but there's one line that just says, "Sometimes you got to stop for a second and just take a look at what's going on." I forgot the exact how he said it, but um, you know, when you're running and you're trying to do things, you're grinding. Sometimes you got to just take a break and smell the roses, just like really enjoy um, what you have before you because unfortunately, especially with COVID a few years ago, and even now that I'm getting older and I'm seeing some of my older relatives, pass away, it's like, you never know how long you have.
Mhm.
Children in schools getting shot at. I mean,
Mm.
just
Yeah.
like just take a break for a second and just enjoy whatever's in front of you, you know.
Right. Enjoy the
So that's
moment.
that's all I've been doing, running and then breaking, running and breaking.
Speaking of
All
running
right.
and breaking, I see your hat. It says, "What does your hat say now?" Tell us.
It says,
I
I asked.
I
Woo!
asked.
Ooh, what
What?
you
Yes.
ask?
What
So
you?
what did I ask? You know what? Um, y'all may remember I was talking to one of my authors. I'm a publisher, and her name is Lamar Taylor. And reading her book, I fell in love with everything about her, and so I couldn't let her go. So I asked Lamar Taylor to marry me, and she said
What?
yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. We had the pleasure of having your beautiful soon-to-be wife on the show, actually.
We did,
Yes,
She is
yes.
a singer and also an author, correct?
yes.
So
Hmm.
amazing.
Yes.
Singer, author,
Congratulations.
speaker, educator. So she does quite a bit as well. And we have some big things coming up. I can't really, unfortunately, reveal those things, but we were working with some people and on some different ideas. So we're excited about that. And I guarantee you that she and I will come on here together and we'll drop those announcements together. And then you can do an update with her or whatever, but we'll make sure that the Abundance Tree podcast knows what we're doing.
Yes, thank you. Shout
Yeah.
out to Lamar, soon to be Red, Mrs.
Yes,
Red.
yes.
Yes.
Shout
Yes.
out.
I love it. I love it and look
Yeah.
forward to it. God bless you both in your union. I know you
Yes.
Thank
guys,
you.
two powerful minds together. You guys are going to be a whole force, man. Like, I really can't
Thank
wait
you.
to hear about it.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
so
you.
Absolutely.
dope.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So
So
some
tell
of the
us what
things that
you,
I've been
oh
working
yeah.
on. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jen.
No, I was gonna say that. Tell us what you've been up to. Yeah.
So the biggest project that I've been working on is helping new authors release their first book.
Okay.
So my company, Mind Over Matter Universal, I have a component of it called Mind Over Matter Universal Press. And so what we do, we empower authors to be, and that's our line. Um, we don't want to just tell authors what to do, and we don't want to just do it, but we do both of those. We let them know how to write a book, how to publish it, how to monetize it, and then I help them along the way. So I'm doing a lot of the footwork myself in terms of editing, proofreading, things like that. But then we get a team together. So what I wanted to share today is perhaps your audience members would be interested in writing their own book and they never really thought about, okay, well, what's the process and how long would it take me? What should I do? Some tricks and tips. So I wanted to see if I can share some of those things with your audience today.
Please,
Absolutely.
yes. You
Yes.
have no idea how many people, especially like I work with seniors, how many just seniors and people in general, like that is the one thing they've always wanted to do is write a book and nobody knows like that
Right,
process. So
right,
yes, we would
right.
love that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I encourage everybody who's listening right now on the replay, whatever, to consider writing a book because, of course, we're supposed to leave inheritance for our children and our children's children. So a lot of people look at that as only a monetary inheritance, but I look at it as information, as knowledge as well, and as a legacy, something physical as a legacy to leave beyond uh, when you leave this earth. So a book is one of the good ways to be able to do that. And so putting either your own story or if you're one of those very creative people, creating some kind of a story just to share with somebody. And that book is going to stay here long after we're gone. Right. And I bet, of course, I never took any survey, but I would venture to say that there's a lot of people who have passed away who wish they could have left some information either about themselves or something they knew or something comical or whatever it was. We have so many different things, and I think each and every person out there has some kind of information that they can share with somebody that would leave some kind of benefit with them.
Yes.
So I try to not I try I help authors to get there, to put their words onto paper, to make it as easy as possible. And the latest author that I work with, that really taught me a lot. And that's what I love about doing this. Um, Whenever I'm working with an author, even when I was working with Lamar, like um, on the side, I was like, I don't know if I want to work with her again. Not like that. No, she was
We won't say nothing.
no, but you learn so much about somebody's personality and their willingness to give and to receive. And so when you're working with somebody and you're coaching, uh, the person has to be open. So now on my contracts, the first thing that I say the author has to do is they have to be coachable. They have to have a positive mind. That's in the contract. So I can cut you at any time because if you can't keep a positive mind and we can't have it fun, make it fun, then I really don't want to work with you. I do want you to get your book out and I'll give you some pointers about it, but I really don't want to work with somebody who is not going to really enjoy the process.
That's
Right.
respectable.
Yes,
And so
absolutely.
so that's in a contract. But the last lady I worked with, she just released her book about 2 weeks ago. No, a week ago. And
All
we
Oh,
right.
we
wow.
debuted at number 2 on the
Con-
Amazon bestseller list.
Congratulations.
So
Congratulations. Yes.
um, so her book is called Rescued by the Best: God's Remarkable Grace and Mercy, and her
Wow.
name is
Love it.
Teres Amin, but it's spelled like Therese, Therese, and so she's from Cameroon,
Okay.
and so there's a slight language barrier, even though she learned English when she was in Cameroon growing up, but that was her least favorite subject. They spoke French, and then they had their own native language.
Okay.
So here in America, she's been here, I think, about 12, 13 years now. She's been learning English a lot better. And she said one thing about why she wrote this book now, because I asked her that. She said was because now she feels comfortable enough speaking English to put it on paper, but she's wanted to write it for years, right? But what I learned from her is that um, even with the language barrier, um, there's so much that you gotta uh, be open with how they communicate, because if somebody says something one way, it could just be a cultural thing, it could be a neighborhood thing, it could be where they come from, and so if you can't take that in and convert it and translate it for them so that the general audience can really garner a benefit from it, then it's difficult for you to put their book out. So with her, I had to kind of be a lot more patient than I had to be with other authors, and really dig in and ask questions, because some things I interpreted, like when I was proofreading, I would interpret it. I was like, well, maybe this is what she meant. And
Yeah.
Right.
then I give it to her, and she was like, Mr. Morris, that's not what I said. Like, okay.
No.
So I learned a lot, and I really try to learn something from each one of the people that I work with. But what I wanted to do again is get some points, because one thing that she did was she tried to use this one tip that I gave that does work for a lot of people, and I actually used it for myself. It's using using Microsoft. If you have probably latest up to the last 5, 10 years, you have the latest version of it. And in the right hand corner, if you open up just a Word document and you click on, it's a microphone in the upper right hand corner. You click on that microphone and you just speak your book, and
The talk
it
to
cuts
text.
down the
Yeah.
learning the time, because yeah, talk to text, because if you're writing, it may take you, if let's say you want to write 20 pages a day, um, depending on the speed of your writing, and 20 pages is not going to be a whole 20 pages, right? It's going to be, you might skip lines, or the lines may be wide or whatever. But in the same amount of time that you can do those 20 pages, you can probably do about 2 or 3 chapters if you're just talking, just like we're
Yeah.
talking. And
Absolutely.
so she tried that though. And the main thing that I learned from this is, like, if you have a language difference than English, um, the translation comes out a little bit mixed up. So
Mm.
that's why when I would read something, it was like jumbled up, because she wasn't articulating as well in the English language um, on that document. So when I got it, I'm trying to figure out what this word is and what that word is, and maybe she meant this or whatever. But that is an excellent tool to use, and that's one of the first things I tell any author who hasn't started writing yet, um, to use, because it's so easy. And my last book, well, my current book that I'm working on, Mind Reset, I'm using that process, and I've gone through many chapters. Like, I can sit down and write a chapter or speak a chapter in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
still
That's
actually a
yeah.
pulling
game
my
changer.
notes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, so you can pull a book together in a relatively short time if you use some of these strategies. So one of the strategies I would say, and I'll go through 10 of them. The first strategy is obviously to decide what you're going to write about. You don't need a title, but you do need to know what you're going to write about. So I use different little graphic organizers where I would write down the topic or the subject that I'm going to write about, and then circle it. And then from there, you can either use little lines like like an elementary son, basically, and then just start putting 10 topics all the way around. Because most books, you want to have like 10 chapters.
Okay.
So you put 10 things all the way around, subtopics basically, that deal with that main topic that's in the center. And then from there, then you still do another 3 lines off of those smaller bubbles. And now you have sub, well, sub, So now you're writing an outline essentially. And then when you're ready to speak, you can just look at that subtopic and say, okay, well, today I'm going to talk about um, believing, right? And then the 3 things that I have around there is uh, trust, um, wisdom, and knowledge. I'm just making up stuff, but so now I can speak for about 10 minutes about trust, what trust means, maybe look up a definition and restate it in my own words, how I demonstrate trust or how somebody demonstrated trust in me, um, a time uh, that trust was given to me or betrayed or different things like that. And then I would go to the next thing, knowledge. And so if you write like that, you can get this book out relatively quickly and then come back around and then you start doing your proofreading. So the first thing is come up with your topic, and the second thing is to come up with your outline. Now, some people like to very linear outlines where they'll
Yeah.
just write the topic and then write A, B, C, D, write those, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can do it that way as well. I just find it easier when I see a visual uh, demonstration of what I'm going to talk about, right?
The web design. The English
Web,
teachers
yep,
at school call it like graphic organizer or web design. Yeah, or the web.
webs, yep,
Yeah, the web
exactly.
brainstorming. Yeah,
Yep.
awesome.
Um, and then also you can use like Venn diagrams too.
Hmm.
Any kind of interacting topics, it might come across the 2 or 3 bubbles, right? But then there's some things that are totally separate. So then you can talk about how they connect and then expand on how they're separate or the verse, vice versa, how they're separate and then how they come together. So there's different ways that you can do it, whatever really works for you. But somehow you need to come up with a um, an outline of what you're gonna, be talking about. So that's 1 and 2. The
Okay.
third thing is after you've written it out, then you need to proof it. Now this is your initial proofing. So you just want to read the whole thing. Just make sure that when you close out chapter 2, it goes right into chapter 3, if it's supposed to. Because some people's books, they don't. Each chapter is separate. It might be short stories or something. But if it's supposed to, you make sure that that continuity is there so that, it doesn't lose people, right? So you read through it and then you want to get away from it and give it to somebody else because you're not the audience.
And this is the whole book. Like after you've talked out the whole book, you're
You
proofreading,
can do
or
it. Excellent question. So you can do it separately,
okay.
um, per chapter.
Hmm.
It sometimes it'll be easier to get people to help you if you do it per chapter,
Hmm.
because if you give them a 200-page book and you asking them to read an unedited version, it's not going to be, it's not going to go over well.
I
Most
gotcha.
people they'll hold on to it and they just don't want to tell you no, but they've sat on it for 2, 3 weeks and you haven't heard anything. But if you give them a chapter each time you finish it, and then you get some feedback from them, then you're more likely to get 4 or 5 people to do it. And you do want several people. You don't want just one person. You don't want your best friend only, because they're gonna add on the fact that they love you and it's pretty good and da, da, da. No, give it to somebody else as well. Give it to 4 or 5 people, and that is going to ultimately be your team that you're going to put together that I'll talk about later. But they won't know that. They'll just know that they're helping you read a couple chapters, right? So you give it to them, you let them read it, and then you allow them to give you some feedback. Either if they found some grammatical errors, if they didn't quite understand what you were trying to say, anything like that, you want to get from them, because again, that's your audience. You're not your audience. It's going to be perfect to you most likely,
So get an
but
outside
to
opinion, pretty
right,
much.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, even if you get
Okay.
some people that don't even know you, if somebody is willing to read it, to do that, because you definitely want to know what somebody else is going to read, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Oh, and let me back up. So that's still one, two, and three. But then after you have this whole book, also, you can also come up with just a one-page summary, right? And so you give them that summary as well so that they can compare, does this summary really depict what you wrote on all these chapters, right? And then that summary is what you're going to be using to sell people, because that might be the back of your book, that might be the inside cover of the book. It's going to be part of your press release. So if you can't write the one pager, then it's probably going to be difficult to write, 200 pages of something. So you definitely want to write the one pager, and you can use all kinds of technology. So that's another thing. So that's number four is utilizing technology. So we already talked about utilizing technology when you speak, text, talk to text, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then there's AI, right? And AI is a fantastic thing, and it's really not that difficult, at least the beginning parts of it, to be able to use it and to really benefit from it. You don't necessarily have to know all the different AI tools that are out there, but in terms of writing a book, there's just a few that you can use. ChatGPT is one of my favorite. It's one of the easiest. They have a free version, they have a paid version, so you don't have to necessarily pay for it. And you can go on there, and if you have an idea that you're trying to um, flesh out, it's good for fleshing out ideas because you can just type in what your idea is and say, how would you say this a different way? Or,
Right.
Yeah.
you have to be very specific. That's the only thing with
Yeah.
ChatGPT. In your prompts, you can't just say, what do you think about this? Right? It's
Mhm.
still not a person, but you give it some prompts like, do you think that um, the following statement would reach, or how can the following statement um, be written to reach this targeted audience? And so you've given it the statement, and you just told it, okay, I just want Black women to want this book, or I just want, men to want this book, or children, or whatever, right? So you give it specific prompts, and you can utilize that. So, and that's not cheating. Some people are like, if you use ChatGPT, you're cheating. No, it's just like running it past a friend or going on back in the day using an encyclopedia to try to figure out some stuff, or using a dictionary to come up with a definition. Why am I going to
Mhm.
do all that when I can have everything right here?
Right.
Right.
Um, so I use
Because you
ChatGPT.
still got to edit it and
Right, you
give it
still
your
Yeah.
edit it.
own, and
Right,
you're
Make
editing
it
your own stuff.
right.
right. Yeah.
And ChatGPT and all these different software like that, you still got to proof it too to
Correct.
make sure the information is accurate. So if you're asking it for some
Yes.
information, um, just for those of you who don't know, with ChatGPT, for instance, it just pulls information from multiple sources and
Correct.
puts it in one place and then regurgitates it to you. So if there's been a whole lot of bad information about a specific topic, it got all that bad information about that topic. And if you ask about that topic, you're going to get some of that bad information. So you have to really go through it to make sure that it's accurate. Um, but if you're just asking it like opinionated questions, how do you think I reach such and such, or do things like that, then you don't really have to, go after and double check. So that would be, you know, definitely something you can use. And then the other use of AI, and it's different programs. I don't even know the names of them, but like if you want to enhance some pictures, for
Mhm.
instance, there's some programs where if you need a headshot and you don't have any cleaned up pictures, you don't have no suits or dresses or whatever, there's lots of programs that you can go on your phone, on a computer, submit several pictures of yourself. If you want to cartoon your picture, all those different things you can put on there. And then also, if you want to draw pictures or have pictures drawn, you can also go on um, some of the AI programs and have your illustrations done through AI if you don't want to use a person to use it.
Mhm. I know
Um,
one is Mid Journey for maybe your illustrations or
right.
yeah,
Mhm. Yep.
that's a popular one.
Yep.
So, and I haven't implemented using that yet. I
Mhm.
know about Midjourney, but I want to be able to use that, but I like to use people
Yeah.
with illustrations. So with my children's books, I use somebody to draw it. And then for that resource, I just use freelancers on Fiverr,
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Fiverr.
Mhm.
And you can go on there. Fiverr is a free website, but obviously you're hiring freelance artists. You can also find proofreaders there. You can find editors there. You can find all kinds of different people there if you want it. Um, and based on their experience, their prices are ranked. So if they're new to Fiverr, then typically they're just trying to get as many customers as possible so that they can get known. So their prices are typically lower, and that doesn't mean that they're not good. They just got in the game. I've used book design covers who will charge like $15-$20 for book design, and they're very professional book designs. Um, but they were just getting started. And as you flip through there, don't let the prices turn you down. Look at their past work. So some of them may only have 2 or 3 pictures, but some of them may have 20 pictures, but they still only been in it for a little while, and it's still a low price. So I would definitely utilize Fiverr um, for like illustrations. You can find book illustrators. You can find CD covers if you have music going out there. They do all kinds of stuff on there. But it's a bunch of freelancers. Anything you want. If you wanted to create a podcast and you just wanted somebody to help you monetize that or do different things, they have folks on there as well. So um,
Is
so
that
that's
step 5 after utilizing technology is get help?
no. So that's going to be more like step 10.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, because the majority of the help that you need is going to be in your marketing.
Okay.
So let's not say steps in terms of when you do it,
Okay.
because marketing actually starts pretty early. Um, the first thing that I do with an author is after they told me the topic, um, and they've written some of it out, we do try to go about and get a title. Um, and then we talk about book design because I do want them to come out with a cover well before the book is done.
Okay.
Like my cover for my book has been done for a year now, right? But the book's not here. So you come out with the cover and you come out with the title and you come out with that 1 page summary. So I can start marketing it immediately and just putting the buzz out there. Hey, I'm the author of the upcoming book, Mind Reset. And then whatever your subtopic is what you'll say that's what the book is about. If you have a subtopic. Um, so again, I'm not necessarily going in order. I'm just telling you 10 things to do. So let's not call them
Got you.
steps.
Okay.
10
Right.
things to do. But I'm glad you brought up that point because people do need to at least have on their mind early on, after they've written a little bit, they don't need to know what their cover is going to look like. You can actually leave that up to the designer and just give them, just like we talked about ChatGPT, you can give your designer just a few prompts, what you would like to see, what the book is about, and if you have any specifics that you definitely want on it, you can tell them, but really leave the creative part up to them because when you get too far into it, what you tell them, if you very specific about everything, one, you could probably create it yourself. Two, if you tell them something and it's not exactly how you say or how you believed it was going to look, you were so specific, it's difficult for somebody to get what's in your mind on paper, right? So you want to
Mhm.
let them be the creator. That's why you hired them. So like even with Lamar and my book, we knew we wanted something fun. So we wanted something that had images of that represented music because our book is called Rhythmic Revelations. We wanted colorful, and the first couple, because we went with two different artists, the first couple ones we came up with, they weren't exactly what we wanted. I mean, because actually, to be honest, I gave them a whole lot. I was like, I want this, I want that, I want that, I want that, right? And they came up with all those different things, but it didn't flow. So then Lamar came, she found some picture and said, well, send them this. These are like the burst of colors that I want. And then we want musical notes. So just tell them we want musical notes and a microphone and then let them create it. And what came out was beautiful. I mean, I couldn't have thought about it better than this. So, you don't want to give them too much, but you want to give them enough that they understand what your concept is. And besides, you want to be surprised. Like, wow,
Yeah.
this is my book, really? Unless you're just very creative, you don't want to do that. So, so yes, that's five, but not in order necessarily. Okay. So and then you want to um start to uh organize the book. So even though you're writing it, some people don't write in order. They write according to memory, especially if it's a biographical book, right? So they may talk about their childhood, and then they talk about adulthood, and then go back to childhood, and there's different ways. So one of my jobs is to help them to organize it. So it doesn't have to necessarily go in chronological order. Some books are boring in chronological order. Like think about some movies that you've seen. Some of the
Mhm.
best movies I've seen, they start one place and they go back and forth.
Flashback.
Like think
Yeah.
about um Forrest Gump, right?
Hmm.
So he had all these different experiences, all these different stories, separate stories. They connected somehow, but it always went back to run, Forrest, run. Like you saw his childhood, you saw adulthood, you saw childhood, you saw adulthood. Um, so there's a lot of books that try to just go from 0 to 100, and you kind of get bored because it's like, okay, then I was 21, and then I was 22, and then so
Right.
um, I'll pull a book and I may just take when they were older and put that at the very beginning. So you open up with the climax, like, when I was 21, I was out partying, da, 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 and then you go back and you start talking about my dad raised me, um, in the streets or, whatever. So you
What
can
led to
kind of go
that?
back and forth, like Power. If
Mhm.
you watch Power, it kind of goes back, and so you can see why somebody's thinking a certain way.
Mhm.
So you want to start organizing your book and figuring out how you want to present this to other people, right? What's going to be the most interesting way? And again, your audience, that little 4 or 5 group team, is going to tell you, well, this doesn't really make sense, or it does make sense, or I get it. Oh, I like the way that you just jumped right in there, right? So, like with this last book, she started when I was 17, but then she goes back when she was, I think 6 was the youngest age she talked about, when she was 6, and what got her to when she was 17, because when she was 6, she was working in the fields in Cameroon, and um, they literally had to walk miles to get to school, and um, very poor, lived in a shanty house, and all these different things. And then she went back, so it really depends on how you want to hold your audience, how you organize the book.
Right. You gotta keep them engaged. Yeah.
You got to keep them engaged. You got to keep them engaged, and so your team is who you're gonna really rely on. It can't be just you. Okay. And then next, if you're gonna do illustrations, then you start to think about your illustrations. But again, we're still gonna leave it up to the illustrator, because illustrators, they come with their own creativeness as well. So um, you can give them um, kind of a blueprint of what you want. You can draw stick figures or whatever, and say, I would like to see these scenes go on, and they'll help you determine if in your book, if it's a children's book, for instance, if every single page is going to have an illustration, or if every other page, or if it's going to be the whole page, the 2-page layout is going to be illustrated, and you still just have a couple of lines of text there, or they may give you different scenarios so you can check it
Mhm.
out. Um, and again, not going in order. But another thing, April, that we want to do is turn around and make sure you've done some research. So if you're doing a children's book, you should know what's the average number of pages that a children's book has. Now, all books aren't going to be the same, but children's book on average, if you all go back and look, it's about 29 pages. That's from front to back. That's including like extra pages if it's a page about the author, or uh, questions for parents or whatever, right? It's normally around 29, 31 pages, and it's normally an odd number. I don't know why, but that's just typically what it is. Now, my first children's book, I knew that rule, but I couldn't keep everything that I wanted in 29 pages. Well, I could have, but I chose not to, and I did 41 pages, right? But the average children's book is about 29 pages. You would also want to check out sizes. What's a good size book? Um, Most books nowadays are 6 by 9, but if it's a children's book, they're normally big because they're for
Bigger,
children,
yeah.
and they're normally hardback.
Mhm.
So you got to think about all that stuff in advance, even though you're not at that stage yet. You got to kind of think about it because your illustrations are going to have to need to be large. Um, they have to be vibrant. They have to pull the child in. So you have all these different things going on. And let me
That's
know.
actually a
Yeah,
excellent point that you really don't think about. Like, how big is the book? Just, the logistics of how many pages, with the illustrations and things of that nature. We only got about 3 minutes, so we may
yeah,
not get
Okay,
to
okay, well,
the other steps. So that just means people got to find you. So where can
yes.
people
right,
find you?
sure. So, well, which way? This way. So if you can scan that, you can scan that. Um, I can be found on Instagram at Morris Red, MorrisRedd. Also on Facebook, same thing. Uh, Mind Over Matter U is also my second IG page. So
Okay.
Mind Over Matter with the letter U. Um, uh, LinkedIn, Morris Red, and X. I think it's just Morse Red as well. I'm pretty sure it's
Okay.
just Morse Red. So you can find me on any one of those. I'd be happy to work with anybody. There's different levels to becoming an author. So, I would put you in the right direction. Even if you didn't use me, I like to provide a lot of different content. So, um, you know, I'm open to sharing information. But yeah, somebody can reach out to me. They can scan this barcode here and that'll take you to my IG page and just go to my bio for all my contact information as well. So I'll go over two more things. We got one more minute, at least.
About a minute, yeah.
Okay. So then let's just go to the marketing part. So with marketing, marketing is probably the most important part after writing the book. So you really have to market from the beginning. Like I said, put together that cover so that you can share that. And then after that, you want to make sure that people keep hearing it. So that's where social media comes in. You want to keep it in front of social media. Even after the book is launched, you got to keep it in front of social media. And then to get your book to bestseller, in a nutshell, you want to get as many people as possible to buy your book on the day that it launches.
That's
So
a gem.
continue to sell all through, as long as you want. But that's the key to getting it on bestseller. And then you can use that as a marketing tool because now you're a best-selling author. So you can flip around and say, hey, this is from best-selling author Morris Red. So now you've created a name for yourself.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Those are some
Great game.
gems.
Yes,
Yes.
great game
Thank
from
you.
Dr. Mo.
Y'all better have
Congratulations
taken
to
notes on that.
yes. Congratulations to you in the future, Mrs. Reds. We
Yes.
look
Thank you.
forward to
Thank you.
having you both on soon, and hearing about these upcoming secrets that you guys will be sharing.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me once again. I love you all. I appreciate your
Yes.
show and just this opportunity to share with your audience.
Well, we absolutely love you too, and we're really happy to have you back. Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening.
Thank
All
you
right.
guys.
Thanks. See you.
Bye.
Bye.